This is Voice of Korea.
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 Now we begin the English language transmission from Pyongyang, the capital of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Here is a mixed chorus, song of General Kim Il-sung. Winner Prisoner Meal Chorus Song of General Kim Jong-il. You are listening to Voice of Korea News Now. Respected Kim Jong-un received a gift from the General Manager of the Alamiya Building Company of Kuwait. General Manager Fatih Hakim handed the gift through a DPRK official concerned working in Kuwait on November 13th. The revolutionary activities of respected Kim Jong-un were reported in China and Nepal on November 15th and 17th. The China News Service, Hong Kong Phoenix Satellite Television, and the Internet homepage People's Network reported that respected Marshal Kim Jong-un had a photo taken with the participants in the national meeting of scientists and technicians. The China News Service reported his visit to the football training ground of the Mangyongbong sports team under construction. The Nepalese newspaper Arpan carried a news of his revisit to the Masik Pass skiing ground under construction, his field guidance to the shipyard managed by Chu Song-ho, and the news that he saw the fire-striking exercise of the Korean People's Army, together with the participants in the first meeting of company commanders and political instructors of the Korean People's Army, and he had a photograph session with the soldier builders of Unit 267 of the Korean People's Army. The newspaper printed a photograph of Marshal Kim Jong-un. An event was held in Phnom Penh, Cambodia on the 14th to commemorate the 19th anniversary of the naming of Generalissimo Kim Il-sung Street. Present there were personages of the Phnom Penh City Council, the municipal office, and different other institutions, and invited there were the DPRK ambassador to Cambodia and his embassy staff members. First, the participants laid photo baskets before the plaque monument of the Generalissimo Kim Il-sung Street. Zup Kon, member of the Phnom Penh City Council, said that today the friendly relations between the two countries are favorably developing in accordance with novel desire of the great President Kim Il-sung and the great His Excellency Kim Jong-il, and in the future too would remain unchanged. She said they would better conserve and manage Generalissimo Kim Il-sung Street, symbol of friendship between the two peoples. He wished Marshal Kim Jong-un, supreme leader of the Korean people, great success in his noble work for the building of a thriving nation. Committees for remembering Generalissimo Kim Jong-il were inaugurated in Bangladesh, Bulgaria, and Poland on November the 14th. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Secretary General were elected at the inaugural ceremonies. The committees decided to organize political and cultural events praising the noble life and immortal exploits of the great leader Kim Jong-il on the occasion of the second anniversary of his demise. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea decided to establish economic development zones in the provinces. A decree of the Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly of the DPRK concerning it was issued on the 21st. It said, Amnokgang Economic Development Zone of the North Pyongan Province will be established in the North Pyongan Province, Manpo Economic Development Zone of Chagang Province, and Wiwon Industrial Development Zone of Chagang Province in Chagang Province, Simpyeong Tourist Development Zone of the North Hwanghae Province, and Songlim Export Processing Zone of the North Hwanghae Province in North Hwanghae Province, Hyundong Industrial Development Zone of Gangwon Province in Gangwon Province, Fungnam Industrial Development Zone of South Hamgyong Province, and Pukchong Agricultural Development Zone of South Hamgyong Province in South Hamgyong Province, Chongjin Economic Development Zone of North Hamgyong Province, Orang Agricultural Development Zone of North Hamgyong Province, and Onsong Island Tourist Development Zone of the North Hamgyong Province in North Hamgyong Province, Shisan Economic Development Zone of Lianggang Province in Lianggang Province, and Wauda Export Processing Zone of Nampo City in Nampo City. The decree pointed out that the sovereignty of the DPRK will be exercised in those economic development zones. The DPRK decided to establish a special economic zone in some area of Sinui's City in North Pyongan Province. Sovereignty of the DPRK will be exercised in the special economic zone. The Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly of the DPRK announced a decree concerning it on the 21st. A delegation of the Maritime Administration of the DPRK, headed by Director Ko Nung-du, left Pyongyang by air on Thursday to participate in the 28th General Assembly of the International Maritime Organization to be held in London. A spokesman for the Southwestern Front commander of the Korean People's Army gave a statement to media on the 22nd under the title, "The lesson of the miserable defeat must not be forgotten even a moment." The statement said, 3 years ago, on November the 23rd, an exciting gun report shook the land and sky in the hot points of the Southwestern Front, countering the adventurous bombardment of the provocateurs with a justified baptism, and continued. The immediate counterattack of our officers and soldiers of the Southwestern Front, whose flames engulfed the whole of the Yeonpyeong Island, was an inspiring act showing to the world that we do not pardon any provocateurs and how dear the price of provocation is. The Yeonpyeong Island shelling was caused entirely by the senseless provocations of the South Korean puppets against us. Frightened by the terrible counterattack, the South Korean military hurriedly sent a message to our army begging for an end to the gunning. It was as good as an instrument of surrender unprecedented in the history of the inter-Korean relations. It was known later that no sooner had he received the report of the situation than trader Lee Myung-bak ran into the basement of the Bull House and cried that expansion of the fight must be prevented, and the South Korean Defense Minister Kim Kwan-jin turned up at a public event and confessed that it was an unerasable painful wound and a case that gave tremendous disappointment. The Yeonpyeong Island shelling was a just strike of our army and people who do not pardon those who infringe upon our sacred sovereignty and dignity. It was an exciting retaliatory counterattack of the defenders of sovereignty that clearly taught the trigger-happy South Korean military how dear the price of adventurous provocation is. It was also an explosion of the pent-up indignation of our army and people towards the reckless provocations of the confrontationists against a fellow countrymen. The Yeonpyeong Island shelling was a proud victory that demonstrated to the world the might of the valorous, powerful revolutionary army of Mount Baekdu without any loss of life and weapon. But the South Korean puppets from last year, instead of drawing a lesson from the Yeonpyeong Island shelling, misled the public opinion as if the bombardments on the Yeonpyeong Island had been caused by our provocation and performed a masquerade of anti-communist commemoration function, describing their defeat as victory. It was possible last year as trader Lee Myung-bak with 2 megabytes of intelligence quotient was in office. But behavior of Park Geun-hye and her group show they are a little different from Lee Myung-bak. Park Geun-hye and the group should derive a serious lesson from the disgraceful defeat on Yeonpyeong Island. It is an invariable will and determination of the officers and men in the Southwestern Front as well as the entire army and people not to miss the chance of attack once the South Korean puppets make another provocation. Now the South Korean puppets, in order to make up for the loss of defeat on Yeonpyeong Island, loaded multiple rocket launching systems, the latest anti-artillery radar, Cobra attacking helicopter, Spike missile, and other attacking means have been reinforced. They also say that the first stage project of the fortification of the 5 islands on the West Sea was completed in an attempt to mislead the public as if they can stand our strike. Once a reckless provocation is made again, the flames on Yeonpyeong Island will lead to the flames of the Blue House and to the Sea of Flames for reunification. Park Geun-hye group should not forget this even a moment. If the South Korean puppets make reckless provocation, ignoring the bitter lesson of their stunning defeat, they will not escape a miserable end. The victory is always on the side of our invincible revolutionary armed forces of Mountbatten, the defenders of justice, the statement stressed. The Secretariat of the Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of Korea released information number 1052 on the 21st. The information said, Park Geun-hye made a so-called policy speech at the National Assembly on the 18th, the first of its kind after she came to power. In the speech, she disgracefully praised herself, talking this or that about economic affairs in South Korea. Concerning the case of the intelligence services interference in the election, the focal point now in South Korea, she craftily escaped herself from the responsibility, keeping silence to this issue and leaving it to the judgment of the judiciary. On the other hand, she imprudently provoked the DPRK once again, talking about provocation, nuclear issue, principle and change. Her policy speech is not worth of consideration, as it is no more than a trick to deceive the public for evading the responsibility for the catastrophic situation in South Korea and worsened inter-Korean relations and saving herself from crisis. South Korean people from all walks of life, including the opposition parties, expressed strong protest, branding the speech as a drama to deceive people, extremity of an attempt for shifting responsibility, and a disgusting speech of ignorance. Even the Henry Party complains that the policy speech is a speech of no reason. The April the 19th popular uprising, which toppled the Seungman dictatorial regime, was prompted by the March the 15th fraudulent election, and the miserable end of the Park Chung-hee youth dictatorship was triggered off by the October democratic resistance. Park Geun-hye should keep this in mind, though belatedly, and ponder over the information stressed. A spokesman for the Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of Korea answered the Korean Central News Agency on the 21st concerning the recent arrest of South Korean abductors by a Chinese public security organ in the attempt to take a load and abducted inhabitants of the DPRK to South Korea. The spokesman said, it was recently disclosed that the South Korean intelligence service instigated plot-brewing organizations and human traffickers to allure and abduct a number of citizens of the DPRK and take them to South Korea, only to be detected and arrested by a Chinese public security organ, and continued. Concerning it, the South Korean puppets are making much ado impotently, talking about diplomatic pressure on the country concerned and grant of status of refugees, and the U.S. Department of State, too, is ridiculously behaving, saying they must not be sent back to the North. Recently, it is repeatedly reported that DPRK citizens and their children abroad are lured and abducted by the South Koreans, and using them as hostages, threatening telephone calls come from unidentified persons. The recent case is part of it and constitutes a vivid evidence exposing the cruel allurement and abduction of the South Korean puppets. We urge the countries concerned to resolutely oppose and reject the United States and the South Korean puppets' hostile acts against the DPRK and send back our citizens as early as possible according to the demand of the international law. The spokesman stressed that, as already announced, we will mercilessly punish those involved in the allurement and abduction of our inhabitants by all means, whoever they may be. And that's the end of the news read by Lee Hyang-sim. This is Voice of Korea. You'll enjoy your meal, chorus. General Kim Sung-il will be immortal as the sun. Please appreciate a small orchestral music, Fascination. Cute is a female soul in Pangchang, warm feelings.
지금은 어디 계실까? 그 어디 먼 길 가실까? 날마다 내 가슴이 그리움 샘솟습니다. 오보이 사랑 다해 인일을 돌보십니다. 손으로 따뜻한 품에 운명을 맡겼습니다. 그 좋은 뜨거운 그 종은 온수인 몸에 또 사는 고마움의 노래입니다.
Please enjoy your female soul in Pangchang, burning desire.
이 한밤도 먼 길 가신 원수님 생각하며 우리 마음 차곡차곡 간절히 소리 따라 섭니다. 우리 운명 우리 행복 운수님께 달려있기에 아침 저녁 서는 하나 운수님의 안녕입니다. 수령님과 상궁님의 사랑을 이어주시며 이미 한 길만을 언제나 걸으십니다. 우리 운명 우리 행복 운수님께 달려있기에 천만 자식 서는 하나 운수님의 안녕입니다. 친근하신 그 이모셔 감사는 따뜻하고 용용하신 그 이기셔 미래는 찬양합니다. 우리 운명 우리 행복 운수님께 달려있기에 하늘 땅도 선하는 운수님의 안녕입니다. 하늘 땅도 선하는 운수님의 안녕입니다.
We now bring you a trumpet solo, The Fatherland I Defend. We now bring you female solo, I Live Asking My Heart.
축복이 요람 속에 태어난 이 몸 그 누가 품에 안아 키워주었나 다 자란 오늘도 커가는 사랑 오고 이 근정 끝이 없어라 나는 물으며 사니 신상에 물으며 사니 행복이 창가에서 우러러보면 한밤도 지새시는 상근님 모습 나이끔 지켜준 뜨거운 사랑 오령의 새아침 펼쳐주시네 장군님 그 사랑에 보답했던가 나는 물으며 사니 신상에 물으며 사니 우리의 운명 지켜 전선 일천리 우리의 요람 지켜 저극 땅 말리 울며리 그 자읍 따르는 마음 내 한생 끝까지 다 바치리라 장군님 그 사랑에 보답했던가 나는 물으며 사니 신상에 물으며 사니 신상에 물으며 사니
We now present an all-people song of Korea, Song of Loyalty. The song, created in 1969, sings of the noble ideological sentiments of the Korean people to respect forever the great leader President Kim Il-sung, who devoted his all to the liberation of the country and the freedom and happiness of the people, and to the victory of the socialist cause. The Song of Loyalty is an all-people song, widely sung by the Korean people, who have turned out to build a prosperous nation with infinite loyalty to their leaders,
keeping it in their hearts. Then, please enjoy the song in English in solo of international concours winner Stanislav Andrei Giernet, singer of the Polish group of artists.
Exposed to fierce and raged snowstorms on the steep and chill Tangberg, our leader covered a long way of revolution. As our great leader came soon, leader of my dear country, people make a pledge of loyalty, talking with their single mind. Our leader visits farm with pistols, wet with the cold dew. He calls and countries in the snowy and very morning, and the fields beneath us will shine Bright is the sun in the 3,000 tree land where I live. Songs of the happiness I heard everywhere in descent, and people live in the rolling fight country. I will live forever under the great leader's guidance. They will live forever and ever under the great leader's guidance.
You've enjoyed All People's Song of Korea, Song of Loyalty, sung by a foreigner. This is Voice of Korea.
Who is disturber of peace and stability? An international seminar on security was held in the United States some time ago. The U.S. military chief executive present there made senseless remarks that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea is the state that poses biggest threat to the Asia-Pacific region. It makes the future unpredictable, and there exists potential danger that may lead to large-scale clashes to involve the United States, China, and Russia. And talking about measures, he stressed the need to secure a sustainable military force and restructure the military system. The Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. forces in the Asia-Pacific region, talking about the threat of the nukes and missiles of the DPRK, said the regional peace and stability are threatened because of the DPRK. It is a groundless sophistry. Clearly speaking, all threats to world peace come from the United States. Since long ago, the United States harbored an ambition for an inroad into the continent using the Korean Peninsula as a foothold. To this end, the United States began to illegally ship nuclear weapons into South Korea in the 1950s. Taking advantage of the lack of nuclear deterrent force of the DPRK, the United States threatened it, conducting nuclear war exercises in and around South Korea with the mobilization of huge nuclear hardware. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea legitimately possessed and strengthened war deterrent force to defend the sovereignty of the country, the dignity of the nation, and regional peace and stability from the increasingly undisguised nuclear threat of the United States. It was a matter of course. Later, the U.S. hostile policy towards the DPRK has never changed in the least. While talking about dialogue, the United States persisted in the war moves, circulating a rumor about the threat of the DPRK. Facts clearly show that the U.S. hostile policy towards the DPRK has not changed at all, and it is the United States that disturbs peace and stability and escalates tension in the Korean Peninsula. It is a completely distorted robust logic that the U.S. authorities say the DPRK poses threat to the Asia-Pacific region and drives the countries in the region to clashes. Now, atmosphere of Cold War is looming large in the Asia-Pacific region and its danger increasing. The reason lies entirely in the aggressive U.S. Asia-Pacific strategy. The United States has amassed vast armed forces in the Asia-Pacific region, which are the largest in scale in any other part of the world outside the United States. Dissatisfied with it, they continue to deploy latest high-tech hardware in the region and at the same time escalate joint military exercises with their hirelings. The U.S. arms build-up and war exercises in the region are a serious threat to the regional countries. The U.S. slander of the DPRK is a shameless trick to hide its true colors as the disturber of peace and stability of the region and shift the responsibility onto us. With no amount of slander of the DPRK can the U.S. authorities cover up their dirty nature. You've been listening to an account under the title, Who is Disturber of Peace and Stability? This is Voice of Korea.
Dear listeners, with this we conclude the English language service of Voice of Korea from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Voice of Korea presents its English language service for Europe between 13 and 14 hours UTC, between 15 and 16 hours UTC, between 18 and 19 hours UTC, and between 21 and 22 hours UTC on 7,570 kHz and 12,015 kHz. For North America, between 13 and 14 hours UTC and between 15 and 16 hours UTC on 9,435 kHz and 11,710 kHz. And for Northeast Asia, between 4 and 5 hours UTC and between 6 and 7 hours UTC on 7,220 kHz, 9,445 kHz, and 9,730 kHz. Goodbye, this is Pyongyang.